You don't have to worship in the land. You can leave, but don't go far. Don't go far. So there are a lot of people that said, no, I'm going to worship, but I'm not going to go very far. When I was a younger man, I owned a health club. And I used to help people, and they would come in and want to shape up a little bit or lose a little weight, things like that. And I had a series of questions that I would ask people. And I could tell within about 5 minutes if they were going to be successful or not. And here's how I would tell. I would ask them, what are you trying to do? How much weight you want to lose? And then I would say, well, how much time are you willing to spend on this? And a lot of people, they would start backing up at that question. Well, I can get in 3 times a week. I'd like to do it 2, but maybe 3. And I might be able to get an hour in, but I don't want to spend more than an hour. In other words, what's the minimal amount I can do and be successful? I want to do it, but I don't want to do any more than I have to. And I knew those people would not accomplish their goals. Every now and then somebody would come in and I would go through my questions and I would get to that point. And I would say, how much time can you put into this? And he said, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? You see the difference in the attitude. Many people want to be Christians. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but we don't want to go very far. I mean, we might go to church 1 hour a week, but don't ask me to go 2. And we might study a little bit, but I'm not going to study a lot. I know a little bit of Scripture, usually just enough to get my theology all messed up, but I'm not going to know a whole lot of it. And I'll participate here, but don't ask me to go there. And so we have the attitude, I want to go to heaven, and I want to go, but I don't want to go very far. You know, there's a principle called the 80-20 principle, and it's so funny, these spiritual truths, they work in the spiritual world, they work in the material world, they work in the financial world, they work in the family. But you look at any organization, whether it's a church, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, and you find pretty much that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. In most churches, 20% of the people give 80% of the money. In most businesses, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Most families, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. It holds true. And I ask you the question, are you in the 20% or are you in the 80%? Because we have churches that are full of people, we have families this way, we have business this way that say, oh, I want to get the job done, but I don't want to do a bit more than I have to. In other words, I don't want to go far. And I love what Moses said. Moses said, that's not going to work for us. He said, tell you the truth, God hasn't told us how far we're going to go. I don't know where we're going. He just told us to leave here. And so I cannot tell you how far I have to go. And so what you need to understand is that if God tells you to take a step, He'll tell you to take a step. He may let you see all the way to the corner, but God can see around the corner. And so God has to tell you, listen, I want you to go. I don't know how far you're going to have to go. And so we basically have to have the attitude, I don't know how far I'm going to have to go, but if God tells me to walk halfway around the world, that's where I'm going to go. And so I ask you the question, how far are you willing to go for God?